Fortuna.
Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday, the 23rd of April, 2017. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
I'm still tired.
And Robert Kebb.
Ubu.
Ubu.
Oh, and then my throat decided to close up at that precise moment. Ubu. Ah.
What's with the tiredness, Seg? Snap out of it.
Well, this week it was just I slept really badly yesterday.
Oh.
Unrelated to the general tiredness of last time.
Did you do your thing where you stayed up too late and then woke up consequently too early?
No, I just woke up
direction.
randomly early and then was like, this is way too early. It was like, woke up at like 6 or something, which is like, that means I've been barely asleep at all.
When do you go to bed then?
Like 3 or whatever.
3, right. Yeah, 3 hours is probably not ideal amount of sleep.
No, that's not good at all.
So I just tried to go back to sleep, but it's never as good once you've woken up once.
I wake up practically every night.
Anyway.
Really?
Yeah, I pretty much wake up every night in the middle of the night at some point.
Did you read that? There's been a news article going around for ages on the BBC News about how in olden times people used to go to sleep early and then get up and wake up in the middle of the night and do stuff and then go back to sleep.
Sleep again? Like
Yeah.
double sleep?
Double sleep. Yeah, it used to be normal, apparently.
It's weird.
Yeah. But,
Like,
I mean...
we can't really get a lot done in the middle of the night in the olden times, surely, because it was...
Well, you can't get much done
dark.
after it gets dark. I mean, you might as well go to sleep at, like, I don't know. I mean, in the winter it gets dark at, like, 4.
That's probably why they got up in the middle of the night, because they probably timed it badly.
Do you think?
It got dark, they probably went to bed early without realising how early it was, because
And then woke up.
dumbness. And they woke up and was like, oh, right, it's morning time, but it's still dark. Oh, what do I do?
And then they did
It's
stuff.
taken a
and
really
they-
long time to get light. I'm going to go back to bed.
Yeah, and then they went back to bed. Weirdness. So I don't think it's that weird to necessarily wake up in the middle of the night. But probably do go back to bed at some point if you've only had 3 hours sleep. Even if it's not as good.
It's good advice. Sleep at some point.
Usually the best idea. And don't overdo it either. Slumber.
Pure Ubu, in fact.
What is Ubu?
It's a beer. It's about a dog, apparently.
A beer about a dog? How can a beer be about a dog? I can see how a book could be about a dog or a film.
I assume Ubu was a dog of inspiration. Or something.
A dog of inspiration.
Dog of inspiration. A muse dog, if you will.
A man or a woman looked at a dog and thought, I'm going to make a beer.
I'm going to make a beer
based on
out
this
of this dog.
Yeah.
I'm going to grind up this dog.
And the owner of the dog said, well, the dog's name is Ubu. and the guy was like, that's a terrible name for a beer. Oh, well, too late now. I've already committed.
No, it's a terrible name for a beer, but we'll make it pure Ubu.
Okay. Cunning marketing.
Actually, no, it is only Ubu, I think. But it's got, it might be pure. Oh, I don't know. It's pure Ubu on the front, but just Ubu on the back. Inconsistent Ubu.
That would make it significantly less pure.
Yeah. Tainted Ubu. I'm drinking slightly sullied Ubu. There we go. How about that?
Sully Dubu.
Sullied Ubu. That's quite fun to say.
Yeah.
Sullied Ubu.
That's a better name for a beer. We'll have some Sully Dubu.
Sullied Ubu.
People just don't realise that it's just impure Ubu.
Cat brews. I don't know if that carried on the mic, but she's sort of just
Yeah.
next to me meowing.
What does your cat approve of?
Inconvenience.
Chunks.
Eaty chunks.
Bits of bacon fat. I'm
Lovely.
not sure they're even supposed to eat that, but you know, she liked it. Too salty for cats.
Probably too salty for humans.
But I like salt. I think I'm almost entirely salt powered.
So does the cat.
Kitty
Love
likes
the
the salt.
I don't know why people like. I mean, I know why it tastes good, but I don't know why this random stuff that you dig out of the ground that's literally rock makes stuff taste good.
Have to make sure food is well seasoned. It's the MasterChef mantra.
Better put some ground up rock onto this food that I've just cooked.
This simple compound is way better than any complex organic food I might shove in my face.
Indeed.
It's not
Actually, that's not even remotely true, but it tastes good.
It's not unusual. It's just like basic biology, isn't it? Your body requires salt in order to function, and therefore salt tastes good.
Tastes good. Yeah, I guess so. Evolutionary advantage to salt tasting good. But now it tastes too good, and we get too much.
Well, it's because we just have salt is too available. That's the problem.
Yeah, it used to be really hard to get, I guess. Where did you get enough salt? Like in your diet before it was like mined?
I guess it was just like off fish, right? I guess any seafood.
Oh, from the sea, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, because at some point it was used as before we discovered refrigeration.
Yeah, preservative.
It was
but that's after the weird point where we'd realised we could mine it out of the ground.
I guess.
Just imagine how much salt everyone must have been eating at that point. Jesus. It's not just the seasoning, it's like everything is coated in salt.
I think they probably brush it off.
You can only brush off so much.
I guess.
That sounds delicious. Just salt encrusted meats.
Although I guess like everyone was eating less meat in general, so the amount of salt per amount of meat was probably good enough.
But what if I'm using salt to preserve my apples?
I'm not sure that would work.
I think that would work. Sounds disgusting as well. Salted apples. Although, I don't know. Salted caramel works, so
yeah.
I don't know. Does salted caramel, it does have salt in, right? It is salted. Yeah, hence the name. Yeah. I'm not being mad, and it's called that, and it actually isn't that.
I mean, it just tastes a bit like salt.
Like saltwater taffy doesn't have any salt water in, or whatever. Or salt, I don't think. Not that I've ever really had that, but
maybe they accidentally threw a bath salt into it, and it's like, it's salted caramel now.
Probably salted.
Salty. Well, unless they used an encryption salt, so it's a bit like caramel, but you can't quite tell that it's caramel anymore. It's got a random factor in there. Make sure to properly season your passwords.
Yeah,
for correct database security.
So take your passwords and then chop them up to make a hash out of them. And then add salt. No, hold on, that's the wrong way around. You add the salt first and then you hash it.
And then you chop it up. Yeah, you've got to have the salt throughout the mixture.
Yeah. Damn it. Got it wrong. My encryption cookery course has gone completely wrong.
Aunt Bessie's Guide to Security.
Yeah, I've got insecure hash. Don't eat it. It's insecure.
Don't eat that. You'll lose your bank details.
Yes.
Someone's going to post hot Russian singles on your Facebook feed. Don't do it.
Yeah, you don't want hot Russian singles. Doubles, if anything. Right.
Hot Russian doubles. Is this not tennis?
The best kind, tennis. It's mixed doubles, though.
Speaking of tennis, I have thusly spread the word that Mario Tennis on the N64 is the best tennis game ever made.
It's the best local multiplayer game.
I have 3 new converts.
It's better than Smash Brothers.
It's not better than Smash.
No, it's
on a par with Smash
Brothers. Of course it's not.
It's somewhat on a par with Smash Brothers for local multiplayer enjoyment, though. Someone doesn't have to be particularly good.
That's the thing, yeah.
You can pick it up and have a good time with Mario Tennis way easier than you can with Smash Bros.
Yeah, you'd be screwed with Smash Bros if you don't know what you're doing. And as with other people that do.
Yeah. It's weird because I would have said in the first and maybe in Melee that wasn't a thing, because I guess back in the day, I did just introduce people to Melee, and it went down like a storm.
Melee.
Like, not exactly hardcore gamers would just pick up Melee and go, "This is like the best thing ever." Like, having not seen the original, I guess it was like, they were just blown away by Mario punching Pikachu in the face, and it was, which is all you needed. Despite that probably being the most pro, I guess, of the Smash Bros. Games, arguably.
Do you ever hear from your Southampton Student Union Gaming Society that you started?
No.
They must still be going, right?
I don't know.
You should look it up on the CG
I should probably
website.
Google that at some point. See if they've changed their name, or if it's still CG Sock.
CG Sock.
Represent.
Represent. Or don't, apparently.
Or don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or forget.
Well, I'll totally forget that it existed. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. There's always new generations of these things. Like the institution survives, but everyone has been totally replaced.
Of course. That is the nature of university. Yeah, it doesn't take long. If you think it's been like 3 or 4 different generations since we were there.
Exactly.
Of like fresh student. It's quite bizarre that we're talking about this, given that you just handed me a freshers pack from Southampton University containing 2 PSPs.
Yeah, I don't know why I had that box. Obviously, I was not a fresher in 09 or whatever it was.
It's quite a practical box.
Yeah, exactly. It's a convenient box.
I mean, and it had my PSP in it, so can't complain.
Here we go. Yeah, it's still called CG Sock, and it has free membership, £0. Wow.
Well, yeah, that was. I don't think you paid membership for any of the socks.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that was a thing.
I wonder if any of them do. Yeah.
Does Cat want a membership? You want a membership, Kitty? You want to head up the anime games division? I mean, you're already a cat. You're most of the way to success. Just came and gave me a polite tap on the wrist. That was nice.
Right. So,
Anyway.
speaking of video games, this is a podcast about those things, and we've got some news, I believe.
It's news.
What's going on in the world of video games? Well, let's see.
Well, let's start with Nintendo. Nintendo Direct happened.
Okay,
It was
what
about
happened?
a 40-minute-ish long show. I will only pick out the highlights, as is our new standard. I'm not going to go through everything. I say highlights, things that I looked at and went, that's
what
odd.
was good?
Well, so they showed Hey Pikmin, and I hadn't really paid much attention to that before. This is the kind of platformer, is it? Yeah, they had a section on 3DS. I should probably say by saying they had a whole section devoted to 3DS stuff, which is a little bit interesting, given what a lot of people are saying they should do now that the Switch is about, which is just make software for the Switch, please. But then it's I get it's possible to assume this stuff was all in development anyway, and it's just them putting it out.
I wouldn't be surprised if there is a successor to the 3DS. Anyway, that's a separate discussion. But
3DS.
Yeah, I just mean
more
handheld that that parents can buy for each individual child. No matter how expensive it is.
It doesn't cost several bucks and is probably slightly fragile. I don't know. The 3DS is quite a solid unit.
Yeah, so something solid that kids can run around with.
And I assume the 2DS is even more solid.
Yeah, but that was just cheapo. You want a clamshell of some kind.
I guess the screens aren't so easily damaged in a clam.
Exactly.
In a clam. Yeah, I don't know. It's sort of... I can see why they would stay in that space, or at least I can see why they would keep 3DS as a thing alive. I'm not 100% sure it's a sensible idea to put a successor out now.
Not now, but at some point.
As long as, I don't know, Ubisoft come back and start publishing terrible Imagine I'm a fashion designer games again, then you've got a small girl market that will be happy. That's probably all you need, right? That's where the money is. I don't know.
I guess. Is it? I don't know.
I've got no idea. They made a lot of those games.
They're probably quite cheap to make.
Yeah, they're all the same as far as I could see.
Paste.
But yeah, now you're a vet fashion person. I'm going to put dresses on sick bunnies. I don't know.
These are sick-looking bunnies.
It's sick. Anyway, so real news. Hey, Pikmin. 2D Pikmin.
Is that what it is? Is that the pitch?
Yeah,
2D Pikmin?
Basically,
it's a puzzle game. Basically,
it seems to be a puzzle platformer.
Okay.
But I don't know. I'm not 100% sure if it'll work. But it looked like things about its presentation just strike me as interesting decisions. But I'm not sure they had much of a choice at the same time, because it's quite zoomed in. Like, you're very close to Olimar, and I guess that's so you can see that you're small, and so you need to be relatively zoomed in. And the Pikmin are even smaller, so you need to actually be able to see where they are, and that they're Pikmin. And on the low resolution of the 3DS screen, that might be an essential move. But then, how does it all play out? It's probably nothing like Pikman's sort of RTS light controls, things like that. It's I'm just not sure about it. I know it looks like they've added more, like, I guess you'd call them movement abilities based on how you use the Pikmin. Some of them, straight out of how Smash Brothers decided to make Olimar a fighter, and that I don't think had been in any of the previous games. But it's I mean, I guess it could work, but then some mechanics of it were just like, well, this looks a little bit like a Yoshi game. It's just got Pikmin in it instead of Yoshi.
Oh, really? Because the thing about the original Pikmin was always, it was more about kind of the environment of the kind of garden and everything. It was because the whole point was he made it. Shigeru Miyamoto made it because he spent a lot of time gardening, right?
And apparently has a lot of rubbish in his back garden.
Yeah, but obviously that will be kind of lost going to 2D, won't it? The whole environment of Pikmin.
Yeah, maybe. But then I wonder how much of that actually. Well, I wonder how much of that style was maintained in the 3 anyway. I don't know.
Yeah,
people say 3 was pretty good, but didn't really play it. I think it was Wii U only. I'm not that big of a Pikmin fan, so I'm probably not going to investigate too closely.
Well, Pikmin was meant to be one of the small games like Luigi's Mansion for GameCube that ended up being the only fucking games that they made. Anyway.
I don't think it even came out at the reduced price, did it either?
No.
That they were sort of hinting would be a thing, and it's like, no, these are just games.
It was good.
It's a good game.
But it was small. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, I don't know what to think about that, but I guess it could be good, so...
how about some more Fire Emblem? Because there's going to be more Fire Emblem.
Zeg?
They should make a new Advance Wars.
I've heard that so many times.
Yeah, he's not wrong though. They should make another Advance Wars. If we keep saying it, one day someone will listen.
One day someone will.
Because we're influencers, right? We're
clearly
hot industry influencers here at the Saladcast. Got our finger on the pulse. The more they talk, all right. That's really all I picked up on the 3DS section. There wasn't a massive amount there. I think they may have talked about Shovel Knight and the new Spectre DLC or something. Maybe not. I don't know.
Shovel.
Can't really remember. I didn't make any more notes. Then they talked about ARMS for quite a long time. Like, the game ARMS, not just
physical arms.
Yeah,
and not like lots of weapons shipments.
No. Yeah, no small arms.
Let's talk about the arms trade. No. Talk about arms.
They did talk a little bit about, trading your arms for other arms in ARMS.
The arms trade.
But they went and described some of its like deeper mechanics and how you can have one. You can customize each arm to be different boxing glove types, and how you then could use those to mix up the fight, and how one of Rin, a new noodle-based character, can turn one of her arms into a dragon instead of noodles. But yeah, that's a thing. Actually, when they talk a good game, I think it's like the more they describe about the depth of that game, I'm sort of the more and more I feel convinced by it, until they then show footage of it, and then somehow none of what they've talked about really seems to show.
Huh.
It's odd. It just ends up looking a bit, and maybe that's just because it's a somewhat poor demonstration potentially. But there's elements to it where I just don't quite get the depth that they're talking about. Like the bit in the demo they showed here, they highlighted a couple of moments where it's like, oh, and Rin's now turning her arm into a dragon, and it's like, I'm not 100% sure what that's actually doing. I think it sort of appears to be doing what it was doing before. Maybe it's a bit more powerful now. I don't know. Rin, yeah, and they each character has supers and things like that, and all of the characters have like special abilities, which they then didn't show really in the demo either. They seem to have like both fired off their specials at the same time, basically nullifying them, so you didn't really get to see what they did. I think it was a somewhat bad gameplay demo of a game that actually sounds like it has a reasonable amount of depth for what on the surface actually looks like a relatively simple fighting game. So I don't know. It may hold promise, but I just don't think it's showing well.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Seriously, Kit. Like, maybe you need to I need another chair and a mic here. So there's that. They talked for that for a very long time. There was then Minecraft Switch Edition, of course.
Of course.
Because Minecraft must be everywhere.
Microsoft and Nintendo.
Is there a 3DS Minecraft? It feels like there should be.
I don't know. That would be quite hard to make.
There is.
Yeah.
Only Terraria.
That's all you need. A minor hint of badness to potentially come in the form of Sonic Forces, in that they showed a slightly extended version of the reveal trailer that hinted at a new ally.
Yep.
And that's always terrifying.
Yeah, because obviously you need yet another random character to
add to the Sonic verse.
That looks suspiciously like, people were speculating. Well, some people were speculating that it looks more like a sort of dog type shape, like a wolf or something.
It's Poochie!
Yeah, basically.
I must go now. My people need me.
Wolves and something else dog shaped before. Coyotes? I don't remember.
I don't. Well, they did have. I think they had a coyote in. Was it Sonic Triple Trouble on the Game Gear? I think. Sort of coyote dog fox thing. But I don't think wolves are a very trodden animal type.
Regardless of that, it's like surely it won't have it, that will just be story, right? Because they won't be making like a third style of gameplay or something.
I don't know.
Unless they want to bring back like Werehog, and it's like this guy's the brawler character, and he has the brawler levels.
Because that's like being Shadow though in Sonic 06 or Shadow the Hedgehog, I suppose. No one really wants that.
Yes, but Sega doesn't know what people want.
No, they show hints of knowing what people want. Every now and then, they show a little spark of being, yeah, we understand this, and then they do Werehog. Or a new ally. Or Styx the Badger.
They fall back into those same kind of traps.
Yeah, every time. And, Sonic Forces, although looking like it, in that gameplay trailer, looking like it plays okay, the setting appears to be, Sonic 06 epic. It's, dangerous.
Well, I guess you just got to get the bad Sonic games out of the way so you can get to the good ones.
So we can get to Sonic Mania.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're coming out in the opposite order.
Yeah, Sonic Mania is coming first, but a little bit later than planned. Skipping ahead a little bit. It wasn't announced in the Direct, but yeah, Sonic Mania is delayed to September.
Yeah.
Which, as we discussed over the weekend off air, I'd rather they delay that and got it right.
Yeah, for sure.
Than rush it out. Although, in fairness, everything they've shown of that game so far that I've watched, and I'm being a little bit media blackout on it now, because I don't really want to know what's coming. But, the basics of what I've seen, those first 2 zones they showed, I think they get it. This Christian Whitehead guy seems to know what's up.
Yeah, I think so. He's got a lot of love for it, so I'm sure they'll do their best.
Yeah. So, hope. I picked out on. They showed some Nindy stuff on the Switch, and I only really wanted to pick up on something called Project Mekuru, which basically looked like someone took a butt stomping Mario Party game and made a whole game about it. Like you're on a grid of tiles, and you've got to butt stomp the tiles to make them yours.
Okay.
And that seems to be how you win. But then throw in some, I guess, Bomberman-esque style power-ups, and there you go, you've got a game. I just thought that was a little weird. It's like I sort of looked at it and went, this is Mario Party, but with robots.
Yeah, so Mario Party minigames are not really my cup of tea, so I can't see how a whole game made out of one would be ideal.
Yeah, it strike me as a bit odd, but might be good. And also slightly confused by the fact that in the middle of a fairly happy, clean Nintendo Direct, suddenly Payday 2 is coming to the Switch.
What? Payday 2? How old is that game? Is it new?
3, maybe 4 years old now.
Right. That old weird, criminal-based shooter thing.
It is free to play now, I think, as well. So that's weird in itself.
Strange choice.
It is a strange choice, but I guess it would work because I guess the Switch could play 360 quality-esque games, right? So
yeah, for sure.
So yeah, maybe maybe they thought that's just a relatively easy port. Let's do it. Why not? It's another venue for our free-to-play game to make some potential cash. Ghost dollars.
Ghost dollar sign. No,
it's that's pretty,
isn't it? So I think you've ghost.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Yeah, dollar bill, y'all.
And that's pretty much all I pulled from the Direct, unless Zach has stuff to add. That was all that was mildly interesting to me.
No, I mean, we mentioned...
Oh, Splatoon 2, sorry. They spent a really long time on Splatoon 2.
Talking about horde mode.
They've got a herd mode.
Herd mode. Well, that might be good.
It looked all right. It looked like a horde mode.
What are the enemies?
And they took salmon.
You're being attacked by salmon?
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. You're on a sort of like a man-made island in the middle of the ocean, and you need to defeat salmon to get their power. So do you remember in Splatoon 1, there's a sort of little Blackpool Tower structure that's got a giant fish attached to it, and apparently that's powering the city. It's like a power fish of something, and most of the campaign of Splatoon 1 was based on recovering this fish from the Octavians. So they make it sound like this is just, the job of the Splatoon world that the teenage inklings can go do, is go get sent off to an island and fight salmon for power. Right.
Okay. So it's like the thing
go farm some electricity. Yeah.
Before you go battle each other.
Yeah, still no word on whether Splatoon 2 will actually have a campaign. I think there's some stuff. Well, what exactly it will be like. There's some. They have noted the Octavians are back in some form. So there will be some campaign elements, but it's not super clear what that is. And they also told us that the Amiibo integration this time is how you save loadouts, which is odd.
What? So what if you don't have? Does the game come with an Amiibo then, or something?
I mean, certain versions of it did.
Well, it's only for if you want to take your loadout to someone else's Switch.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but the thing is, Splatoon, and it appears from the test fire that Splatoon 2 has a lot of the problems that the first one did, in that you can't change loadout between matches if you stay in the server lobby. Like, you're stuck with what loadout you have until you go back to the plaza or whatever, and then you change your loadout, and then you go into games, which means that you can't really plan team composition based on what your teammates have picked. You're just stuck with what you have, which I always thought was a bit of a misstep. Especially seeing that, once you get into a server and you're playing some games, you don't always want to back all the way back out and then get it to find a new server. No. Just to swap to the... I fancy playing a quick game as the roller. See if I'm any good at it. I think it's a bit of... And then they've kept all that, which I'm not sure is a smart decision. But yeah, you can save loadouts in Amiibo. Like one loadout per Amiibo, because those Amiibos don't store very much data.
No, not... What is their capacity? It must be tiny, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Not a lot. They haven't been used for very much in terms of actual storage.
No. That's why I was a bit surprised by this.
I mean, the was it Smash Brothers one? Like my Bowser is just got its name and the fact that it's blue and what level it is.
Oh, right,
and I could feed it equipment to make it a bit more powerful, but that's all that thing is storing. No, that's probably all it can store. It's like the max it store. Yeah, Splatoon 2. I mean, it looks like Splatoon. I think a few people have said that Digital Foundry had a look at it during the test fire, and there's some disappointment that it's not running at 1080. It runs at 720 at all times.
What, even on the docked mode?
Even on docked and even on portable, it seems.
Well, portable 720 is a 1-to-1 match for the
exactly. Yeah. So it doesn't.
As well.
I think people are a bit disappointed that they don't seem to be making much use of docked mode.
Yeah, because other games do switch up the resolution. Yeah, obviously, Zelda runs at... Yeah, that's a bit of a shame because Zelda runs at a higher res.
It also doesn't mean it's much of an improvement over Splatoon on the Wii U, which also just ran at 720.
Right, same deal.
Yeah, which makes it less of a... to me, as an upgrade package, I'm not seeing the path.
Yeah, that's not as good.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll fix that. I don't know. At least for the dot mode.
Yeah. As a fan. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. They had Splatoon got a lot of post-release support. So,
I mean, Zelda's had a patch for performance, so and that seemed to help a lot. So.
Double patch. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
As a fan of Splatoon, I'd like to see a little more, I think, but it has been a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Like a 2-year cycle, I think, since the first, which is probably a little fast.
So that's the Nintendo Direct.
That's what happened at Ninty. But there's more Nintendo news. Or not quite news.
Go on.
SNES Classic. Would you want one? Or a SNES Mini.
Indeed, SNES Mini. So the NES Mini that everyone wanted and they didn't make enough of has been... They stopped manufacturing those. And
dumb, because I still kind of actually want one.
Yeah,
I'm deep in the emulation hole, but that thing was kind of cool.
But it was always meant to be a kind of weird promotional thing, I think, from Nintendo. They never intended it as like a super serious...
But a promotion for what?
I don't know. It was just meant to be celebrating an anniversary or something.
Oh, like a NES-anniversary or something.
Yeah, something like that. And then I don't think they... Yeah, planned it as like a game system, that they would support or whatever.
Well, I don't think they had to. I think it was I don't think they have to support it as a standalone device. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think they should make the loads more. But anyway, so the rumor is that one of the reasons they've shut down production of the NES Mini is because they're going to do a SNES Mini for this year.
Given what happened with the last one, I'd probably be all over that. I think I'd have a SNES Mini in an instant.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the game library on SNES is awesome. And there'll be some great stuff in there, I expect.
A bit of me likes the idea of taking whatever controller they ship with it as well and seeing if it can be connected to a PC, like a SNES controller from a PC.
Yeah, the problem with the NES Mini was the controller cable was insanely short for no reason.
Yeah, well, that's a Nintendo thing. All Nintendo cables are always too short.
Yeah. So we shall see how the... But I'm pretty sure the NES Mini cable was shorter than an original NES cable. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so we shall see. Hopefully it'll have a super nice SNES controller that we can attach to a... but you can already get pretty good, like...
Oh, yeah.
There's some wireless Bluetooth ones or whatever.
Yeah, there's some decent replicas. They're quite expensive, the Bluetooth ones that you're talking about, but there are some passable replica that are just ones that are just straight USB devices. They're not...
totally.
They're not the fancy one. I forget what they're even... Is it Go 8-bit? Not Go 8-bit. It's 8-bit something. It's got like bits in the name. Bit Retro or something. I don't know. Yeah. Whoever makes those ones, it's like they are good, and people do say like, if you're really serious about this stuff, like it's worth thinking about those if your system can handle Bluetooth, which my desktop can't. So I kind of just want a wired version, thanks. But you'd probably save a bit of money if they made a wired version. It's like I don't care about wireless. Just give me one of those. Actually, no, I'd probably want to play it on TV. Give me the wireless.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I got a Bluetooth dongle to go in my USB port for not very much.
Yeah, I'm tempted. Well, I thought about like doing all kinds of crazy things. Like I looked at recently what it would take to try and get like GameCube controllers connected to the PC.
Right.
Because you can sort of do it with an unofficial driver using the GameCube adapter for Wii U.
Right.
But
what does that
as soon as someone it's USB.
Right. Okay.
So you plug that into your PC and then use an unofficial driver so it recognizes it as an input device, and then there you go, you're in action. You've got GameCube controllers on your PC, which I was highly tempted to do because playing F-Zero GX with a 360 controller just isn't the same.
And you already have the adapter for Wii U.
I do, yeah. It's not but it's not even the official adapter because the official GameCube adapters were super hard to come by.
Right, yeah.
But it does
came
work
with like Smash Brothers, didn't they?
Well, half works apparently.
Yeah, half works. Like the first two controller ports seem to work, but ports 3 and 4 don't seem to anymore. So it's already half busted. But I don't know. I thought about experimenting with that, but I got a little bit turned off by the idea of installing unofficial drivers to do it. But apparently, that's how you have to do it with PS4 controllers still.
Still, like I thought they'd done that.
Well, no, it might not be a driver, but you still have to have a bit of Sony software running at all times to.
That sucks.
To get it sorted, and it's like I don't really want that either. So can't really just buy a PS4 controller and do it either.
No, but you want the GameCube controller for its weird
for the notches.
The notches, yeah, that came from the in the N64.
Buenos noches.
Yes.
As nobody says about GameCube controllers.
Buenos noches.
Buenos noches.
I mean, obviously, that whole notch idea has been completely ditched these days. But I mean,
yeah, but the problem was there were quite a few games that expected them to be there, because they didn't have to then tune the sort of the way the analog is handled is slightly tuned to it being there.
But what do you think of that as a design? Like it was on the N64. Do you think it was good, or do you think
No, I don't think it's difficult because I think for when things expected it, it wasn't so bad. I don't think it's particularly good for FPS, for instance.
No.
On the look stick in particular.
No.
You don't really want that. The movement stick, it's fine. And I think, in most game types, you'd actually get away with the notches, whether they're there or not. But there's the odd one that comes about, like, I'll talk about it later, but, Aaero wouldn't be possible unless you had with the notches in place. It wouldn't be the same game.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think
can you imagine playing Skate with the notches?
Yeah, exactly. Quarter circles must be a bit of a weird action, right? Like fighters in general, that must be a slightly strange thing. Although, then the flip side is like actually fighting game controls are digital anyway, so maybe you want the notches to make it so you can feel your digital inputs anyway.
I guess.
It's a weird one. I think there's ups and downs to it. And it worked most of the time. Maybe that's a thing the Elite controller, like the Xbone Elite controller, should have. Like, you can put notches on it if you want.
Yeah, attach a little ring of plastic.
Well, yeah, because you can replace all the sticks and stuff and the heads for them. It's like, why not just put a head with notches on it?
Cool.
Just my idea,
So what other news we got? Battlefront 2. I guess it was the Star Wars celebration, so there was a teaser trailer for the next Star Wars film, and there was also a bunch of shit about the next Battlefront game.
Which has stuff from the prequel series and the sequel series in it.
Yeah, which is what people have been asking for, because the old Battlefront games had prequel stuff and...
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
I thought Battlefront was... I thought it was almost entirely focused on just the original trilogy.
I mean the old ones, the old Battlefront games.
Oh, the original Battlefront.
Yeah.
The original Battlefront.
Yeah, the original ones. Yeah. So fans wanted that back, so I guess they're getting that. And they're getting a class system. Very basic, but I mean, it's better than nothing, I guess, in a kind of battlefieldy light type game. You can't just strip it all out if you want to keep interest, I don't think.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. They probably went too far with the streamlining in the original, because it didn't, and I didn't play past the beta period, but it didn't feel like there was a lot of depth to it.
No, you have to dial it back.
So adding more to it seems sensible. There was something just not very... Something just not quite right about how that game played. I don't know. It's like I was sort of I was impressed by it, because boy was it a looker.
Visuals were crazy, yeah.
And it sounded amazing, but the gameplay never really sat with me particularly well. It was just sort of okay. So anything they do to improve that is a boon.
Yeah,
it's
I hope they focus on that stuff. Well, that's obviously part of the package, and then so it'll have more maps, more characters because of these multiple era type thing, I guess, kind of means it's necessary. Otherwise, it'd be a bit silly to have like one map from one era or whatever. I'm sure there'll be a few more than the last one. And there's a single player campaign with a weird story where you seem to be where there was a trailer for it, and you seem to be playing like a female Imperial Special Ops commander person.
Who presumably has a change of heart halfway through the storyline and
presumably
bumps into Finn. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe, because it's the Imperial side, and it seems to start with them fighting Ewoks or whatever, fighting rebels on Endor and kicking their ass, and then looking up and the Death Star is blown up, and they're like, "Oh shit, what are we supposed to do now?"
What if it's a cross-media promotion, as in
like
the storyline of the game? Yeah, ends up being.
Yeah, well, I think it might be canon.
And feeds into the film slightly.
Yeah, so there's quite a long period there, obviously, between... I mean, obviously, there's some canon stuff already between Jedi and Force Awakens, right? Like the battle on Jakku was in the previous Battlefront DLC, right?
Oh, sure, yeah. I think that was the free DLC they released soon after launch.
Yeah, I think so. So presumably they'll do more of that kind of world building stuff, which could be quite cool. And the news is that it's being written by two guys. One of them's a former IGN reviewer, I think, or something, and the other guy is the writer of Spec Ops: The Line, which people liked for its story.
Yeah, the writing for that was really good.
So let's hope it's semi-decent in terms of writing. I mean,
let's hope. I mean,
but it's not. It's only going to be a few
in fairness, it's a Star Wars game. It only has to be average.
KOTOR had good writing back in the day. KOTOR 2 had good writing as well, in a different kind of way. But it's been a long time since then. When was that? 2003, 4?
Yeah, probably, actually. Yeah.
When the writing of the films was terrible. There was a couple of good video games.
Yeah. As long as someone gets to lay the smackdown on Jar Jar.
Yeah, that's the hope. Jar Jar should be a hero character or a villain character who can be destroyed.
What dark side Jar Jar?
Using
Oh, you reckon they just spawn him on the map? No one gets to be Jar Jar. Yeah. It just spawns him on the map and he's worth extra points. He's a bit like, what was that giant... The mascot from Monday Night Combat? Just have him turn up.
Yeah, but if they end up doing any of the Battle of Naboo, they'll just have to have it be Gungans versus robots, and that'd be funny.
That'd be stupid.
Two teams that no one wants to be.
Well, especially
you get to be dumb robots or even more dumb native species.
But think about the difference in the weapons you could have. Like,
that would be the bit that would be cool.
That'd be amazing.
Using the bomber. He to not have a bomber. Yeah, use a Dyson.
Just balls everywhere.
Nightmare. Just blue balls.
Oh, imagine the announcer during that. It's like, we shall capture objective.
No.
Now go to Dyson.
God damn it. Oh my god, that film was so shit.
Is it bad? But I actually want that.
It's the only battle that makes sense.
What
But it's a giant field.
Well, yeah, it is a giant field. It wouldn't exactly fit a capture the objective style thing very easily. Although I guess they did half, and that was just like a giant field.
I guess, yeah. They just put trenches in it and a base.
Echo base.
It's sort of a bigger than it was in the films. I think it's sort of right there, sort of a hangar, just there.
Well, Echo Base must have actually had a hangar in the film if you just never saw it, because otherwise where did all those giant cargo ships come from?
Yeah, but it's not like as close to the shield generators and stuff as it is in the Battlefront.
Yeah, it had a hangar big enough to house the Millennium Falcon and a bunch of snowspeeders.
I know, but like in the Battlefront map, it's like a pretty tiny hangar, and it's like right next to. Well, it's not that tiny, but it's like pretty close to the shield gens, and it's you would have seen that in the flybys, like in the films, if that was how it was. But yeah,
definitely not like that. Yeah,
it's not a big deal. They made a level out of it. It's fine. Yeah. Battlefront.
What else going on? Call of Duty on this other side of the shooter front. The next game we were saying rumored to be World War II is in fact called World War II. Or WW and then 2 in Roman numerals.
Of course.
Yep. That is officially the name. And then they're going to reveal it next week, so we'll talk about the announcement trailer.
Yeah. I don't think it's a great name. Just calling it World War II.
No, it kind of stops them from doing it again after this, I suppose.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So you're complaining about that, but you still think Battlefield 1's okay?
And I didn't say I thought it was
I don't think we ever said... Yeah, I don't think we ever said Battlefield 1 was okay.
I think you did.
I think it's fine. it's
descriptive enough.
It's different compared to, like, it's more imaginative than WW2, isn't it? If you think about it.
Because they couldn't have called it Call of Duty 2 either.
No.
Because that happened.
Battlefield 2, yeah.
I suppose they could have done. They could have got it Call of Duty 2. Right? It's the sequel to COD 2. It's World War 2. Well,
they were just lucky.
Why didn't they just call it World at War 2? Why didn't they do that?
Because no one liked World at War, that's why.
I don't think it was that badly received.
I think it's like... Yeah, not that well liked, especially considering it's a Treyarch game.
I don't think it was that it was not liked. I think it didn't sell massively well because it was sandwiched in between 2 Modern Warfare games. Do you know what I mean? Modern Warfare 4, COD 4 had come out and already been like, oh, this is a giant step forward.
Yeah.
And then World at War happened and it's like,
Yeah.
You know, it's not that the game itself was bad, I don't think.
Right.
Well, I never played it, so, whatever.
Not a lot of people did.
It was one of those things where it's like, I can see why it was perceived as a step backward for the series.
So I'm interested. I'll see what they come up with I want to see what their campaign's like for a modern World War II Call of Duty. If it's an actual kind of basically a spiritual sequel to Call of Duty 2, that would be good for me.
That would be great.
Question will be whether they do it like Battlefield did it or not. Because you can't imagine that a Call of Duty game will somehow make a more realistic, like real-world version of events than Battlefield 1 did, where they deliberately made it not real in order to support the Call of Duty style of gameplay.
But the thing, World War II fits the Call of Duty style of gameplay much better than World War One, right?
It does, but that's still not going to it's still not going to be that realistic even then.
No, it never really was though.
But just like Call of Duty is so much generally faster than Battlefield, and Battlefield tried to make up this new version of World War One to make it fast, and then like you can't have Call of Duty be any slower. That's always been their problem, actually. I think we've discussed it before, where it's just like you can't. Once you've got to that point, you can't like make people do things slower because then they'll realise that it's real slow. It'll be recognisable as slow. Like you can't have reload times be actually realistic.
No, you can't.
It's hard to go back, isn't it? Because Halo now suffers from that, right? Because Halo 5 was by far the fastest Halo ever, and it's like, but I don't see how they could go back from what they did.
It's like, funny because Call of Duty, Call of Duty was the one taking the speed way down from the likes of Quake 3 in the old days, or Unreal Tournament.
I guess it was still pretty fast.
What was it that slowed the FPS down? No, Half-Life the original was fast as fuck. It was basically Quake engine and they didn't change the movement speed, so you always ran at insane speeds everywhere. Half-Life 2 was slower.
Sure, and I think Half-Life 2 predates COD 2.
Yeah, maybe it was Half-Life 2 that slowed things down. It had a sprint button that was tied to your weird battery, and so you couldn't use a flashlight and the sprint at the same. Anyway, that was dumb.
Yeah, the super power, or whatever that extra power reserve was.
Yeah, maybe it was Half-Life 2 that slowed down the shooter.
Halo.
And Halo, I guess.
Come on, yeah. I mean, Halo predates all of those.
I mean, Halo must have. I think Halo's a good speed. I think it works really well in the game, but I think the reason it's slower is probably because, to make it controllable on the Xbox.
Maybe.
GoldenEye was pretty slow, I guess.
Maybe, but I think they'd already. The dual stick control scheme, I think, had already become a thing prior to Halo. I think Halo was one of the early ones for sure, but I think other games had already done, got the dual stick shooting idea down. Time Splitters 1, for instance, I think probably might have done that first, or at least early.
Go back? No, I don't know. Time Splitters 2 even, go back to that, it feels really weird. Like
but Time Splitters 2 is actually post Halo, I think. So it's it's weird that doesn't even count. But but yeah, they did. I think Time Splitters 1 at least experimented with that style control.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah. Anyway,
on the PS2, it's not a very good game, as it turns out. Time Splitters 1. I'm not. It's weirdly bare bones.
Yeah.
Weirdly bare bones, more so than I thought, and. When you compare it to Time Splitters 2, it's like, I was like, wow, that was a massive jump up.
Yeah.
Time Splitters 2, okay.
It was good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's...
We will see.
It could slow it down, as long as it... yeah, I don't know, it's a tricky one. I think you could, but then maybe it's not Call of Duty if you do. If you do, it would be subtle, right? It would be... It would still look a bit like a Call of Duty game, but you probably wouldn't be like... And maybe it would just feel slower because you don't have the jump jets or whatever that you do from the more recent games.
Right, jump. We'll find out about that next time.
Yeah, interesting.
Other news, Blizzard patched StarCraft, as in the original StarCraft from when? 97, was it? 98? 97.
Was it really 97? Jeez.
I think so, because it's basically a sequel to Warcraft 2, not sequel.
What, you reckon it was the year before the Year of Games?
I don't know. I might have to look it up.
Or was it in the Year of Games? I reckon it might have been in the Year of Games.
It might have been the Year of Games, yeah. Yeah.
And 98.
And they've also made it completely free, so you can have that ancient game for free. But it will be, presumably, well, apparently, fully multiplayer compatible with the HD version they're going to do that we talked about last time.
It's interesting. I still don't quite. I'm not 100% sure I understand the play here. Like, why put that out for free? What is it like? Is it to try and like? Is it just to be like a feel-good gesture to get people then like be like, oh, I might as well put some money down for the HD version? I don't know.
Probably. Yeah, you're right. 98 Year of Games.
Year of Games.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's slightly weird. I mean, it's a good thing, right?
It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives you confidence that you can run it.
Yeah. Well, it's nice that they. I know like publishers are real precious about their IPs, and especially the older ones of games now that remasters have become a thing. But it's nice to see a big publisher treat it a little bit like abandonware, right? And it's like, we're not going to update this old ass game. We'll resell it if you want a better version of it or a nicer looking version, but the original, whatever, go nuts. Like, I like that. I think that's what's not to like? Put it a different way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I know Rockstar did it with, was it GTA 1 and 2 as well? Yep. They were like, well, we're never really going to go back to these. So just have them. Spread some goodwill. Good idea. I wish more old games went down this route. And I know it's a little bit of effort from the publishers, and in fairness, the publishers and developers probably have to be active to greenlight stuff like that. But, like what if Dr. Draco's Madcap Chase was actually easily obtainable and could be run easily? That's the bigger problem. But
still one of our top videos.
Yep. It's a funny video. I think that's all we got for news.
Yeah. The only other thing I had was there's a gameplay trailer for Micro Machines Battle Mode and Capture the Flag and all of that stuff. So
and I hope that Brian Blessed actually is the voice of the game.
Yes, because he's clearly voicing the trailer, so let's hope that he's the voice of the game. I mean, that's like totally
real soon, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty soon.
Slightly before Dirt 4, apparently.
When's Dirt 4 out?
Soon, apparently.
That's also really soon. Blimey. I mean, it's a fairly decent launch window for a game like that. So, in terms of
what else is going on?
In terms of crowded release, well, the early year crowded release schedule is kind of coming to an end. Yeah. So it's between any time between now and summer is a pretty good time to put games out. Because it'll be quiet.
Cool. Dirt 4 then. Dirt 4 to that.
Let's hope their track generator is awesome.
Yeah, that's all we can hope for. They say it is, so do we trust them? I don't know. We'll just have to find out.
Let's hope they still do put in more environments. I mean, come on. Even with infinite tracks, 5 environments is not many. And, 3 of them are still like gravel. just different variations of gravel.
I wonder if that would be a Steam Workshop in some more environments. That'd be good.
So is there there's a snow environment? Is there?
There's Sweden, so I guess that's the snow one.
Okay.
And now I don't know if Michigan is going to be tarmac or gravel, because it could be either.
Or both.
Probably both.
Or both combo. Well, I don't know if they do it both because of the way that they had that whole thing about tires, where it's just like they don't let you pick the tires, and the way the physics simulation works with the grip and everything, it's like that might actually be quite hard for them to make it so that you can have like tires that have different grips over the different surfaces, and
Yeah, but that's also Rallycross. Don't forget.
Well, I guess, but Rallycross is a much more like small case, I guess.
Sure, but the whole point of Rallycross is that it's some tarmac, some dirt, or other substance.
Some other substance. Marshmallows.
Salt. Racing on salt.
That would be what you'd get in the Steam Workshop. It wouldn't be like proper environments. It'd be weird shit.
Replace Sweden's snow with salt. It's a mod that does nothing because it would still be white.
Yeah.
Might be a bit more grippy.
Probably.
Actually, no, if you replaced Sweden's snow with salt, like everything would just melt.
How? What do you mean?
Because, that's what you do with roads.
It would all be salt. There wouldn't be anything to melt.
I guess. True. I overthought my own plan. That's the salt.
It's all about salt.
It's all about that salt. Should we have it? Take us to something else, Dad.
Okay, well, that's it for news. So it's time for what you've been playing. What have you been playing? Zach, what have you been playing?
Well, I finished Zelda shortly after the last podcast because there wasn't really anything else to do, as I said. I mean, I didn't 100% it or anything because that's ridiculous. And it doesn't really help you to 100% it.
No.
Want to get all 900 corks.
How many corks did you get?
Like 500 and something.
Holy shit, that's quite a lot.
That's still an insane number, yeah.
But they're like really... The ones that I got, like, they're all really easy to find, which is what I was saying last time, where it's just like, I feel like I'm missing a ton that aren't as obvious as all the ones that I got.
Well, you're missing half.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Did you just comb every part of the map, though? I guess you did.
Yeah, more or less.
Everything.
When I was looking for shrines, mainly, when I was going through that. Just covered the vast majority of the landscape.
When you came across like those Hinoxes or whatever, or just big enemies, did you fight them straight away, or what do you do with them? Just mark them or something? Because don't you get like a trophy for killing them all or something?
Well, I marked some of them, and like I fought them initially. Like as soon as I'd done that, the mission in Zora's Domain where it's a mission to go fight one, I was like, oh well, I guess I can fight at least the lowest level version of those. And actually, the Hinoxes are really easy to beat at all levels, just because they don't really do anything.
No, they don't. They don't really fight you much. It's the Lionels that are the hardcore ones, isn't it?
Yeah.
You figure out, because I still can't beat those. At least not the one I found the other day.
Well, the Lionels are fine apart from like the ones that have the what do you call it? The club weapons. Like the sword ones are by far the easiest, and then like the spear ones are okay as well.
What about the clay face one? Or is that too obscure a reference for this conversation?
Probably.
Hello?
But yeah, then there's just the ones with the giant club things are the most difficult ones. Because did I say that on the podcast last time? I don't remember. Whereas I was saying that I remembered that I had a parry because the timing on dodging the club attacks is virtually impossible.
Yeah, I think
but
I found
parrying them is incredibly easy.
How do you parry?
You have to have the shield and just hit A.
Well, you have the shield up, so you're holding L.
Yeah.
And then you just hit A when they are attacking.
Yeah, when the attack connects. Because it's like the dodge timing on those giant club attacks is really difficult, and a lot of those club attacks have like a shockwave when they hit the ground, which damages you as well. So it's like you can't even. Sometimes you'll jump to dodge and you'll evade the attack, but the shockwave will still hit you even though you're in the air. And it's like that seems a bit of a jip, really.
Yeah.
I also have a problem with that, like a lot of games where they visibly show the shockwave as coming off the ground, but you just assume it's a ground thing. So you jump it, and it's like, oh no, I've still been hurt. I guess I need to jump higher or do something else. It's like that always bugs me a little bit. I don't know, something about shockwaves, and you expect them to be on the floor.
Yeah. And the other problem with the giant club Lionels is those clubs just do ridiculous amounts of damage because they have the highest weapon numbers that I'd seen. Like one of the ones that I got towards the end when it has like the added attack bonus stat on it. It was getting up. It got up over 100. It was like, holy shit! No wonder I was taking like 10 hearts of damage.
Connect. The thing is, if I fought one of those, I'd just use up all my weapons and stuff, even if I was eating food enough to not die. I don't know. trying to kill it because it had so much hit points.
It's not that bad usually. I mean, normally what I did was like I'd see them from far away, see what weapon they were using, and then use whichever one of their weapons that I already had. Just use the one that they had. Apart from when it was a club and I needed to use a one-handed weapon because I needed the shield
in order to do the parry. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just like just use whatever one of their weapons you happen to be carrying, and then replace it at the end of the fight when they inevitably drop it because they always do, which is sort of like I guess they don't always drop the melee weapon. I'm pretty sure I've had them not drop the melee weapon. They seem to always drop the bow, which meant that my bow inventory was entirely full of Lionel bows.
I just find the name Lionel kind of funny. How's it spelled?
Lynel.
Okay, Lionel. Not Lionel.
Yeah.
No big lips.
No.
Okay, good.
So I did that, and then the last boss was vaguely disappointing. Although I guess it was sort of inevitable that it was going to be.
Yeah.
Because it's just like you can come at it at any time or whatever, so it has to be kind of like default kind of style.
Yeah. But was it like a dramatic? I don't know. I've yet to see the end.
Yeah, you don't want spoilers, so like don't spoil yourself.
Yeah, well, I hope it wasn't too bad.
I was vaguely annoyed. The one thing that I will say that's like a minor spoiler about the last boss, which is that you don't fucking use the Master Sword to kill Ganon. What are you doing? Even if you have the Master Sword.
It's supposed to be the sword that seals the darkness.
So like that's the whole point.
And that was the climax of the final boss of Ocarina.
And it's in like the thing that they keep going on about through the whole of the game, where it's like 10,000 years ago we got this ancient story and it tells you what to do, and then you just don't fucking do it.
Oh, okay, that's dumb.
It is dumb. I mean, you theoretically could not have the Master Sword, but they could have just made like 2 endings or something. I don't know. That would have still made sense. But yeah. That last boss was kind of weird. And then I went and watched the speedrun, the 40-minute direct Ganon speedrun.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Where most of that is just getting off the Great Plateau, because you can't leave the Great Plateau until you've got the paraglider, so you have to do those 4 shrines.
Shrines, right, yeah. Yeah.
And then you just go to Ganon, and then you fight him. And it's kind of dumb.
Yeah. With like 3 hearts.
Yeah, with 3 hearts. Obviously, you never get hit because it's a speedrun.
Right.
You do take quite a lot of damage in that speedrun, though, because you have to do, like, basically ragdoll. You have to ragdoll yourself in order to chuck yourself miles using the stasis physics.
Right.
Ragdoll yourself before you chuck yourself.
Yep. Pretty much.
A hot rap line.
So what's the technique? You
chuck yourself.
You basically do stasis on a rock and then do the spin attack with the heavy weapon to
these all sound like
quickly
great song
hit
names.
it up to maximum.
Right. Okay.
And then you just run in front of it and jump. So as the boulder flies forward, it hits you, but you take all the momentum and you just go flying miles, and then you just paraglide out of it.
Oh, I see.
That's how you cross most of the Hyrule Field area.
Right, as quickly as possible without having to run.
Yeah. And then you use the amiibo to just spawn a opponent for the second half of it.
Oh, that's cheating, isn't it?
Apparently not, because it's any %, so you're allowed to do whatever.
Oh, right, okay. So, yeah. So is there a post game? I presume there is. Can you just carry on?
Well, it turns out that it just reloads you just before the entrance to the boss room. And the only thing that I noticed that changes is in your mission log, it gives you like a number for how many missions you've completed. So it's like, how many side quests there are, and how many main missions. And
had you done all the side quests then?
Well, I'd done all the shrine missions, obviously, but I hadn't done all the side quests by quite a way. There was like more than 10. Which is weird, because I was like, where the fuck are they? But of course, the problem with that is that those missions could be pretty much anywhere. It's just like a random NPC somewhere in the world could well be one of those side missions.
Yeah.
Because you just go up and talk to them, and then they'd say something, and then you go and do it.
Well, they do have a little red marker on them even before you talk to them, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't appear until you're right next to them. So
no,
it's still...
it doesn't. Yeah. So you just go to every stables and talk to everyone.
Well, not just the stables, though. It could just be a dude wandering around.
Yeah, it could be.
You could just be on the road or not on the road.
Yeah, that's true. Or in a little cabin or something.
Yeah.
What I need is a Majora's Mask style calendar, so you know where everyone's going to be.
It is funny how the villages do operate a little bit Majora's Mask like, where the people, you can follow them around all day. They go home at night and stuff, and then they go inside when it rains and complain about it and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Which it does all the time. Legend of Rain. Always when you want to climb something.
It's only in certain areas of the map it gets really bad.
Yeah.
But that's what you need the Rito power for.
Oh, I haven't got that, so I'm sure I'll find out.
And I also discovered that there is actually a way to tell how long you've been playing stuff on the Switch for.
Oh yeah?
I found out where that is in the menu.
I can't find it, so let me know.
You have to go into your profile icon thing at the top of the page, and then there's like another tab in there that has a list of all your games played, and then it has the time there.
Have a look.
Which is like, I mean, I guess that makes sense. I guess I'd never really been into that part of the menu after I made the profile.
Oh, Dan's page. Boop, boop. Haven't heard these stupid sounds before either.
Yes.
Oh, I could
boop,
profile.
Boop, boop.
I don't know where I'm going. Profile, friends list, user settings.
It should be at the top, the profile, the first option, whatever that is.
It's because I haven't linked it to a Nintendo account, so I don't really have a... Oh, shit. I'm changing my name now. Good. Cancel.
My name.
Yeah, okay. No idea.
It's there somewhere. Just in that.
I think it wants me to link to a Nintendo account before I do anything, but... Yeah, so maybe it probably hasn't been tracking it for me because I never did that when I...
Well, I bet it has because you still have to use that profile to start the game.
Yeah. Oh, well, never mind.
It turns out I'd only played Zelda for 165 hours.
Only?
Yeah.
165?
Not that long when you consider, like, apparently the 100% speedrun is like 40 or whatever.
Yeah, I suppose so. But you're not anywhere near the 100%, though, are you? I guess.
Well, no, but I've still covered the whole map. So theoretically, if I had found everything, it's like, in terms of travel time, it should have been fairly, I mean, not that similar. I'm sure I went back over places multiple times.
Yeah, cool. What else have you been playing then? Unless you got anything else to say on Zelda.
not especially, I guess. So yeah, after that was done, it was time to play other things. Except the other things I played were like, I went back to 2 games that were old and older. I played some amount of City Skylines. Went back to that, built another city, or a smallish city.
I assume you haven't called the update for that. Was it the patch or DLC, whatever it was called?
Well, you get the patch anyway. You just don't get the DLC.
Sure.
Although the last patch, I haven't noticed what the actual patches related to the DLCs have added. Really, I mean, they're always just like mostly bug fixes and stuff, minor modifications. I mean, obviously the day-night cycle was the patch that went along with the nighttime DLC.
Oh, yeah.
There's that. And then apparently the next DLC is going to be coming out soon. And it's the more transport, which is like one of the things that... I mean, that one might be good if the patch turns out to be like better like vehicle AI or slightly better road management without additional actual things, because they showed like new stuff where it's just like, oh, new public transport options that are weird, like blimps and cable cars. This is like, okay, not sure particularly need those. I mean, there's the one where it's like an elevated rail that you can build over an avenue. That one makes sense.
Proper L trains.
Yeah, proper L trains. But then if they do any And there's also suggestions that DLC might include like whether this will be in the patch or only the DLC, but they said there will be like new road types. So, I mean, I'm playing with a mod that gives new road types anyway. So,
salt roads.
If it's one of those things where it's like they've basically taken ideas from the mod and made it official, like they've done for the previous DLCs more or less, then that could be good. But will it completely replace the need for that mod, or will it just be not quite sufficient and the mod will still be necessary? I expect the mod that lets you edit all like the specific junction arrows and stuff will still be required, because that's like way more complicated than they'll do in the DLC, I bet.
Probably. That's probably more complicated than most people care for.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, they could still always just make it a toggle or whatever. Make it an optional thing. It would still work. But, you know, the mod's still fine. If slightly unwieldy. Where you're having to, like, open a separate menu and then open sub-menus with overlays and you can't always see what you're doing. Well, no, you can see what you're doing, but you can't continue to see it after you've closed that menu, basically. So you have to remember where it's like, I made that junction have yield priority, and then if in the future, if you forget about that, you're like, what is this junction so incredibly clogged up with traffic? Oh, it's because I left it yield priority instead of changing it back to traffic lights when the traffic went up. Not good.
Not so good.
So there's that.
Explosion.
And then, even older than that, I also played quite a bit of Advance Wars Dual Strike.
Yeah.
Goddamn it, Advance.
Oh, yeah.
Went back and played most of the normal campaign on that. I probably should have played on the hard campaign, because normal is that like well easy, especially when you have all the skills on your COs that you can set. Although that was kind of nice, because I could go back to when I was going through it. It tells you what ranks you've got on the missions before, and there was still a couple of them that I'd never got like S rank on. So I was like, oh, this is my opportunity to S rank these, because apparently I'm just way better at this than I was at some point. I've just learned more tactics somehow.
Awesome. Well, while you've been away.
Yes, somehow I just became more tactically clever about it. I was just like, well, I got S rank on the first one, which I'd only ever got a B on before, and it was like, well, that's nice. But then I've also reached the point of, I think this must be the last 3 missions. The one of which I've done, the second one I've tried multiple times, and I haven't reached the last mission. But all of these missions seem to be set up in such a way that I accidentally do them too well. And then you don't get an S rank, because it's like, if you just complete the objective, you get like a B, because you get shit power rating, because power is based on destroying enemy units.
Oh.
So if you just like stealthily fly a bomber to the like dark crystal or whatever that you have to destroy, and then just blow that up, it's like, well, you get shit rank, even though that's like a way better tactical choice.
Yeah.
I remember there being dark crystals in Dual Strike.
Yeah, the giant black obelisks and the crystals that regenerate the health of the enemy units.
I remember
very inconvenient.
A lot less of that game than I thought then.
But yeah, so I had to replay a couple of the last mission and the mission I'm currently on. I had to replay like multiple times, because it's like I can't. And the other trouble is that like you still want to get the speed score maximum, obviously, because that's easy. Because you can easily get the 100% and still get a B on speed. So it's like I have to like stay in the level for a certain amount of time to kill a certain amount of enemy units, but not too long, or otherwise my speed score will start going down. So you have to try and guess.
See any of that while you're actually playing.
You just have to try and guess and be like, well, that's probably enough enemy units, right? And then you complete the mission and discover it wasn't. Shit. Then you have to do it again. So I'm still doing that on the second to last mission.
Seems a bit of a flaw, right, in the ranking system. Couldn't they have just made it so it's like there's some sort of background scoring going on? And, you know, so if you've got a ridiculous speed score, it's like, yeah, it's an S, that's fine.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Where it's just like what it should have done is like the S rank of the speed score is clearly tied to like a certain number of days, because that's obviously the speed of the game, where it's like a certain number of turns. And then what it should have done is like for every day earlier than the typical S rank day, it should have just proportionally reduced the needs on all the other scores. So it's like the earlier you finish it, the less enemy units you had to have destroyed to get the S rank on power.
Of course, yeah. I think it's sort of just in the background, like number. It would solve a lot of that.
Yeah. But what would that number be based on?
You still wouldn't see it, I suppose, but it's like if your speed... It's a bit like the ranking system in Sonic in a weird way. It's like if your time is like really fast, you'll get an Uber score, and that's what your ranking's based on. It's like if you've got a lot of rings, you'll get a score that way, and then
that's what speed, power, and technique were meant to be. It's just that the trouble was that the S rank was just like get maximum on all of them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's where it falls down. It's like you shouldn't really have a maximum.
There was an upper limit.
Yeah.
For each of those, rather than just being able to make it more.
Yeah, more than S++. So
yeah, that game's still clearly awesome. Better than the second DS one, obviously.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, but I do still quite like the one that follows up, even if it is less. Well, it's just less.
Yeah. I guess I'll probably end up playing that again. Or maybe
the best
not. I don't
Advance
know.
Wars then? Dual Strike, would you say? Is it better than the GBA ones?
Probably. If only because you can have free save files.
That's not a very good reason. But...
It's a pretty good reason. Because like, I'm pretty sure both my Advance Wars 1 and 2 cartridges are both saved on the last mission of hard mode because I could never do them. And therefore those cartridges are stuck in that state because you only have one save slot, so I can never like start a new campaign unless I want to start over, and then I'd have to do the whole thing again. It's like
the impossible ending. You could probably do those now though, right?
Maybe. I don't know. It seems like
tactics.
Well, I don't know, because the reason it's clearly easy in Dual Strike once you learn like once you understand how the AI works to some extent, but also like you just have the skills, and the skills, if you apply the right combos of skills for the level you're on, that's how you make it easy. Like there's a level where one of your teams is stuck inside like a forest, so the forests have shit movement, of course, because it's a forest.
Yeah, okay.
And the idea of that level is meant to be that like those guys are stuck there and they're surrounded by artillery, and then after a certain number of turns it starts raining, which turns on the fog of war, so the forests become places that you can hide, so you can drive up and through the forest at that point and then kill the artillery.
Right.
Or you can just use your skills and turn on the skill that gets rid of the movement penalty for forests, and then just immediately drive out to kill all the artillery. Which makes that whole level much easier. So yeah, that kind of thing, where it's sort of like the skills counteract the difficulty of the level to some extent.
It's a puzzle in its own magical way.
I guess so.
But there's that whole cool script for the level, and you're just blowing it away. Oh well, never mind.
That's the point. You have the awesome power of COs to be ingenious and come up with solutions to somehow drive through forests quickly.
However they do that.
Yep. So maybe once I finish that in normal, I can make another attempt at hard. I don't know. I don't remember where my save file on that is on hard. I think that might be on the last mission as well. Or the second to last mission, maybe? I don't remember. I never finished it. There's 2 more skills that I've never unlocked because they unlock when you complete hard mode. And 1 CO as well.
Holy crap. They must be really powerful skills as well.
Yeah, I think they are.
And you don't need them once you've completed hard mode.
Well, yeah, that is the classic problem. I mean, and you could presumably take them into like the war room maps for doing those, make those easier. I have a save in the middle of a war room map. When I went and looked at it, I was like, what is even going on with this save? I think that was when I was trying to level up some COs that I virtually never used. specifically like the enemy COs that you unlock at the end of the game. Because obviously you don't use them through the game, so they never level up. So yeah, there's that. Advance Wars. Make a new one. God damn it. I was saying that wrong. It's just like they could make a new Advance Wars where it has like Our Boy level pixel art or something. Like super high quality pixel art. It'd be awesome.
That would
Don't make it 3D, that's a mistake.
Yeah, no need.
Because that's like when you look at the new Fire Emblem stuff. Because even in the first 3DS Fire Emblem, it's like some parts of the level geometry were 3D, and then you had like the 3D battle view or whatever. So like I wouldn't even want that in Advance Wars. Just pixel art. Just awesome looking pixel art.
Pixel art, and you're done.
Yeah, we were talking about like just what could they do with the little battle sequences and things like that. If they put just a little bit more effort into making them animated and not just filled with explosions and disappearing and
you could
very rapidly moving guys.
Yeah, all the different pairings.
I guess they don't want to show death, which is why the infantry always pinged off screen.
Right, they always go pew.
Yeah, of course.
I guess it's a sort of is it a Nintendo owned property? Is the other thing?
Probably. I mean, it might be now. Once intelligent systems were sort of taken more into Nintendo.
Sort of.
So there's that.
Sort of.
And Rocket League. I might end up playing in the Giant Bomb tournament after all. It was unknown whether that was actually going to happen. It's still kind of unknown because like sign-ups were last weekend, and I posted a message on the forum quite late in the process, and it was like, oh well, I guess I might just get into this team, and then sign-ups continued for like 2 more days because the person organising it wasn't really paying enough attention.
Right.
And then it's continued, where it's just like, I'm going to lock this thread now because I still haven't actually managed to organise it, but now I guess sign-ups are closed probably. So I don't know what's going to happen about that. Maybe it will happen. And I went and played some practice games with the 2 other guys that I'm going to end up playing with.
How did that go?
How was the American connection?
Well, we're an EU team, so we don't actually know. And I think that's probably going to be part of the problem. We're probably going to maybe have to like practice on some American servers to try and attempt to get used to the lag. And I'm not sure what like the official rulings about the tournament will be about server choice, because it says in the general rules where it's like the team whose name comes first in or is top on the listing of the match picks the server. And like, is that just random?
Well, how does that even work? How do you pick the server?
Well, when you're creating the server, you choose what region you're in, like you do when you're doing a search.
Oh, I didn't realize it had that much control. I sort of assumed it, like when you created custom games, it would be like old school peer-to-peers where someone actually acts as the host.
No. They did it on the Giant Bomb when they were doing their East versus West, where they changed between the East and West servers. So yeah, I don't know what the official ruling is like on if we're an EU team. Do we get to play half our games on US servers and half on the EU? Because that would at least make it better. We would have to have 100% lag. We'll see. Maybe. If that happens.
Yeah, if it even gets off the ground.
I mean, it's organised by like Rory, actual Giant Bomb staff.
Oh, really?
I say it's organised by him, but maybe it's not really organised by anyone. Because he seems kind of busy at the moment, which is why it's taking so long. Who knows? And, you have the classic organisational problem of like giving 6 people on the internet to exist at the same time in the same place to do a thing. Not quite as bad as when I was in that Team Fortress thing, where it was like getting 18 people to be in the same place at the same time.
Now that is a lot. That's like kind of World of Warcraft guild raiding kind of level.
Yes. Oh yeah,
no. The probability of success in getting everyone together is about 33.3% recurring. Of course.
And I also played some Team Fortress, that just reminds me. A very small amount. Went in there one evening where I sort of like, I don't want to play Rocket League right this second, but I want to play. I kind of want to, but I don't want to, and therefore I'll play the thing that I used to play before I played Rocket League, but feels the same role. It's Team Fortress.
Team Fortress 2.
Yep. Went in there and then discovered how you remember how everyone bitched about the matchmaking?
Right.
Where they changed it to like even the casual matches worked on a matchmaking system. And everyone complained mainly because after every round it just kicked you out of the server.
Right, so you couldn't just carry on.
So they fixed it to make it so you can just carry on, except they seem to have bollocksed up the map. Well, in my opinion, they seem to have bollocksed up the map voting. Because at the end of the round, the map vote pops up and you have 3 options. 2 of which are for maps that are in different modes, and the third option is to play the map you're already on again. And none of those are good options. Like, if I joined a server that I specifically searched for a capture point server, I kind of want to play capture point. I don't want it to change mode after one map, and I also don't want to play the same map over and over.
See, to me, that's okay because that's how I normally play. You know, I'm not too anal about game modes in my multiplayer shooters generally. But there's an element of if you really, really want to do that, there's no decent way of doing that. So they haven't catered for it, and that's kind of a bummer.
And it just means that even if you don't mind playing a different mode at the end of the map, half the server still quits. So you might as well just quit because then that server has become useless.
Yeah, I can see that being annoying.
It's a no-win, really.
It's better than getting kicked out, I suppose, but yeah.
I don't understand why they wouldn't make at least one of the options a new map in the same game mode. Yeah, that seems to be the main problem.
Fix that, yeah. Just add one more option.
But yeah, went in there and played not very much. Actually, I was playing, and then a patch happened. And I was like, compare it, because it kicks you out. And then I stopped. Because they're still patching Team Fortress, like, all the time.
Yeah, lots of little updates, it seems. Nothing really major, just lots of little bug fixes and
they're not really doing big things any longer, I guess.
Do you think they've given up on big things now?
Maybe.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because you say maybe, but then that matchmaking update wasn't that long ago.
No. It seems like occasionally I have a moment of realization about, like, when you remember how there was that old story that presumably is true about, like, the working conditions at Valve, where it's just like you work on what you want to work on or whatever.
Yeah.
From the Valve handbook that got leaked or whatever.
Yeah,
and desks on wheels.
It's like that seems like the continuous action of just like one guy who's continuously patching Team Fortress.
You reckon?
Because I was thinking about it when like just recently I've suddenly started getting a shit ton of Steam updates to actual Steam. It's just like, oh, somebody came back and started working on just Steam again.
I don't know. I actually have updates all the time on that. I don't know. Pretty much every time I boot it, it seems. I'm gonna restart because of an update.
There'd been a break for a little while recently where there hadn't been any for quite a long time, and I was like, oh, they've started again. Whoever that was that's uploading all those patches for Steam. Mysterious. So there's that. And
they're working on their 3 full-size VR games, supposedly.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, yeah.
And then in games that I haven't played yet, because this week talking about it on the next podcast, the Factorio patch is finally going to happen after all this time where we've been waiting for it. The next Factorio patch is going to happen. So I'll probably play a whole bunch of that until next week. Until next podcast.
Oh, you've ruined my multiplayer shooter segue.
Yep.
Segue away.
Let's pretend we didn't talk about Factorio, which is probably a better place to be anyway. And then and talk about some Overwatch, directly following on from Team Fortress 2, because, it's the new Team Fortress. But Zach just refuses to accept.
And how is the new Team Fortress? Sorry, Overwatch.
Overfortress. Overwatch.
No.
It's it's still a great game. So they did there's another event on at the moment called the Uprising, which is gives a little bit of for once it's a tiny little bit of in-game story. It's basically a sort of horde mode that plays out over a number of objectives on one of the payload maps. You sort of go from one end to the other and then come back again, doing stuff on the way and holding out as long as you can, and it gets a bit harder as you go along. There is a mini payload. Oh my god. There's a payload that carries hay fever, and you no. Blah. It's put me right off my stride. You're just defeating robots, and because they're robots, there's some bastions in there, and which are evil, so you need to take them out quick. And there's some of the new character, there's some Orisa bots at the end to take out. It's a co-op horde mode, and it's a bit more in depth than what they built for the Halloween horde mode. And it's fine. There's more loot to get, so playing a bit of that. Get that loot. Get that limited edition loot. It's
don't get it, as the case may be.
Yeah, as is what has happened to me so far. I've got nothing. I want those skins. Give me the skins. Reinhardt's they're like old. The skins apparently they used to wear when Overwatch was the uniform, the Overwatch uniform basically, which is kind of neat. And Reinhardt's is a good one, and it's like, I want that. Can I have it? No. All right then. And there's some somewhat random other stuff they've added to the list that probably shouldn't be associated with Uprising as the pack. You know how they do with loot. It's like everything's always associated with the pack, and there's some
right.
There's some new emotes and some new victory poses and highlight reel stuff that's not really related, but they've added it during the update, and so you can only get them during the update. But are also pretty cool. But yeah, it's a bit of a bummer that they're actually associated with it. Because it doesn't make sense that they are. So I'm doing that. What tends to happen is I'll play like a round or two of it to work towards the achievement for finishing it with 8 different characters. And then I'll play some normal games. Like I'm still playing Capture the Flag, actually. Almost more than most of the normal game types. I really quite enjoy the Capture the Flag mode on all the maps they've added, and sort of it's a nice spin on some of the old maps, as I said before, like using them in a different way and using some of the geometry that's mostly pointless in the King of the Hill game mode they used to represent. And it's cool. I do wonder if they'll eventually just rope those into the normal playlist. Like, so you'll get the King of the Hill games and then you'll get the Capture the Flag games, and whether they'll just turn up in normal rotation, because I kind of think they should. They're good. So I'm playing that. I also started playing on the single player front, Enslaved, Odyssey to the West.
Okay.
That Ninja Theory joint before they it's a proper jaunt before they made DMC.
Right, of course, I remember. Oh yes, with Andy Serkis and all that.
Yeah, it's very much the Andy Serkis show.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually pretty good. He was obviously like pioneering some mocap technology stuff at the time, and being the face of it at least. And so he basically plays the lead character in this with it's based on, if you didn't already work it out from the title, it's based on the Journey to the West tale. from, I believe it's Chinese folktale sort of thing, folklore thing.
Monkey.
Monkey and Trip and Pigsy, and it retells their story in a weirdly somewhat reminiscent of Horizon Zero Dawn style universe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre actually going back to this. Most of it takes place in and around America. Like you're in New York for like the first half of the game, and it's overgrown and green and a little bit of Last of Us vibes as well, I suppose, going on. And it's kind of neat. It's kind of well done. Everything has turned to a more tribal civilization, but everyone, unlike Horizon, everyone's kind of aware of the technology they're using and the science behind it.
Okay. So that's
people are still smart, but they're kind of they're sort of smart. There's a sequence like relatively early on in the game where they keep referring to a big old construction crane as a metal tower that I find really weird when they're then also talking about electromagnetic resonance.
Right, and some other sections. They don't know what crane is.
Yeah. And you have like headbands that the main conceit of the game is that at the start of the game during an escape from a slaver spaceship, your companion Trip puts a enslavement headband on you that means she can command you, and if she dies, then you die, forcing you to work together to get to where she needs to be. So that's the sort of central conceit that drives the narrative at first, and it's that's fine, that works. But then you're using weird mind control technology that they seem to understand, and she finds a mechanical firefly that she can reprogram to do scans of areas, and that these fireflies are just sort of hanging out like creatures. It's a weird mismatch of not merely a mismatch. It's just a weird mash of we know about this, but we don't know about this.
Right, so it's not very consistent, or
not sure. No, and she's also using a sort of computer on her arm, a little bit reminiscent of the multi-tool, I guess, from Mass Effect, and Trip's dad. Slight spoiler alert: seems to be in a halfway through the game. You sort of find where he's hanging out, and it's sort of a room full of like computers and surveillance kit, and so someone obviously knows how to do hacking and stuff. And it's like I said, it's just this weird somewhere in between. And there's also some fourth wall breaking stuff, which is hard to explain without completely spoiling it.
Okay.
I'm not kidding when it's the Andy Serkis show. I'll leave it at that, and maybe I'll explain. I mean, it's an old game, so I could go spoilerific if you like.
Nah, I don't think there's any need.
Yeah, I don't really know how that pays off yet either, but it is part of the story in a strange way. It's not just an extra you find, although there are also extras you find with this effect. But it's, I really want to know how that plays out. It's interesting and weird. So that's setting. Gameplay wise, it's kind of a weird mix between your sort of I guess a sort of more traditional action adventure game where there's like you're put in scenarios and you have to do something to basically get through them, with a little bit of the sort of fixed camera style feel of the Devil May Cry style games, and to some extent Bayonetta. So you'll enter some rooms and the camera will swap to a fixed position and you move around it, and it's all stylishly set up in some places to give you a nice view of what you're supposed to be looking at, and things like that. So it's got that going for it as well. It's got a simplistic but character action style combat system, which, makes sense. It's Ninja Theory. They made this after making Heavenly Sword, so you would think some of that would come across. So it's got all of that going on at the same time, and it's also got that you've got to issue commands to your companion in order to distract enemies in certain ways or perform certain puzzly actions. There's quite a few puzzles in the game as well. Some of them are more successful than others. In fact, there was one about the halfway point in the game, where not far from where I am right now, that was basically kind of broken because she didn't listen to the commands half the time, but whatever. So there's actually quite a lot going on. But if you try and describe it that way, the game is actually quite simple while you're playing it. But it's got all these influences, it's got all these different things coming together, and for the most part, it works. It's cool. surprisingly so, together. In fact. Yeah, like there's more. I wouldn't say it feels like it had full budget like behind it. It doesn't feel like a AAA game of what, because this is quite old now. We're talking like 2012, I think.
Yeah,
something like that. When it first came out on 360, and then the port was about a year later. It's a pretty good port as well, by the way. The PC version runs no problem at all.
Cool.
Especially on one kit, I guess, but there's no problems with it. And yeah, it doesn't feel like it's had like a full budget title at the time. It's like I wouldn't even call it B tier though. It's somewhere in between AAA, like just regular A tier sort of game. Regular A tier game. Like the voice work is great. The combat's a little too simplistic for me, but it's okay. There are some neat additions later, and you get more and more abilities seem to be cropping up as the game goes through that are conveniently context sensitive in places.
Oh, in a good way. Yeah.
Well, as I say, very conveniently, narratively convenient.
Oh, I see.
You get a mechanism of traversing the world, but it only seems to be active in certain places, and they try and explain that away in a very. It only seems to work in certain places, and it's like, I wonder if it's to do with this, and they're like, I don't know. All right, whatever.
I don't know, maybe.
And it basically means you only get to use it in certain spots where it makes sense for you to use it. It's very convenient. It's pretty good. Like I like it. I want to see where the story goes. Like yeah. I want to see where the story goes. As I say, I want to see more of the Andy Serkis show. I want to see what else comes up, what this fourth wall break is. It's really interesting. It's not the best game in the world, but by a long shot. It doesn't feel 100% great, and some of the boss fights are. The bosses seem to have way too much health, so they become quite a tedious rinse and repeat process. They're a bit long. And not that interesting mechanically, which is a shame. But yeah, it's all right. It's all right. I will. There will be more to come. I'll probably finish it by next time.
Okay. Well, we'll get the full rundown next time. But it's sounding good.
Yeah.
On Enslaved.
I was always looking forward to it. It always seemed like it would be my sort of thing. And
did you get it I'm or something?
Say again? Oh yeah, probably years ago. It might have been in a Humble Bundle. I don't know. I've had it a while. Yeah. But it's always been there. It's always been looking at me. And I'm a bit of a fan of Ninja Theory. I like what they do. DMC was a fantastic game, so I'd quite like. And I never really played Heavenly Sword, but the demo felt good. So and they're Cambridge, so represent
local.
Represent the local devs.
Local devs.
Yeah, good game. Good game so far.
Cool, yeah.
And I guess the only other thing I really wanted to bring up is what I showed you both at various points over this weekend, which is Aaero. Now, it's spelt with two A's, so it's like Aaero. Aaero. Which is a rhythm action game in the vein of Rez and its own unique ribbon music mechanic.
But it's definitely heavily kind of Rez influenced, for sure.
Yeah, the combat element of it, yeah, for sure, because it plays pretty much exactly the same.
Exactly the same, yeah.
You use the right stick to highlight points of interest that you can shoot at, and the difference here is you're not holding a button to do that. It's just always active, and if you move the stick around, it's automatically targeting stuff.
So you can't fire earlier, like you can.
I mean, you can. So this is where it comes. There's a button to fire now, rather than the sort of Panzer Dragoon and Res style hold to target, release to fire system. It's always targeting, right trigger to fire. Which I guess makes sense in terms of how your fingers might be working whilst playing it, right? There's one less thing to be pressing the entire time because you need both sticks. because the left stick controls your ship's position, which you need to maintain in order to stay on the track, the ribbon track, which follows the tone of the musical synths. So there are sections where you need to be doing both of those things at the same time. So using the left stick to follow the ribbon and using the right stick and the right trigger to shoot stuff. And it hangs together pretty good. And it helps that the soundtrack is pretty good choices as well. There's some Flux Pavilion in there. There's some Noisia in there. It's a good selection of. I wouldn't say like cutting edge, brand new bass music. Like a lot of that is several years old now. But I guess that's what they could get hold of, being a small indie team of 2 guys. But it's a pretty solid soundtrack, and it works. Yeah. You get 15 tracks in total.
Are they all licensed tracks then, or are they?
Yeah, all licensed.
Have they been retooled at all?
I don't think so. I think they cut in at certain points, like they'll cut early in some tracks, and they'll, it's a bit of an abrupt start. So if you've seen the first level of that game, like it just goes, "Are you ready?" And you press A, and you're basically halfway through the build up to base cannon.
Right.
And it's just going ding, 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 like you're already in the middle of the build up, and it's like, sorry, what's going on? That's just dropped you straight in it. It's a bit sudden. Which is odd, because the other levels I think are better constructed, but base cannon's the easiest level, so that's why they did it first. It's a bit abrupt, and perhaps makes you think this isn't quite as well put together as maybe it could have been. But you kind of forget about that as you play the rest of it. I really like it. It pushes my happy buttons, because it's my sort of music, it's my sort of gameplay. I wish it was a little more synesthetic, I guess, in the Res style. I wish the world reacted
a bit.
I wish it reacted more to the music and had a bit more madness going on. You think back to games like Frequency and Amplitude, and they didn't do a great deal, but the world around you was kind of thumping a little more to what you were playing, and I wish it did that. That's not to say the levels aren't well timed to the music. They have a nice mechanic where you tend to be in tunnels when you're using the ribbon, and if the music opens up to a breakdown, like you'll go into a wide open area, and it works that way. The feelings do match the music the majority of the time. But when it's really thumping, I kind of want more neon lights going mental around me, or more I don't know, just geezers or environmental effects going nuts.
Geezers going nuts.
Geezers going nuts, yeah. Having a proper bass rate. Yeah. It's real cool. Yeah, it's worth checking out. I'm just about cracking into the advanced difficulty level, and there is an expert level as well. And they don't seem to mix up the ribbon sections, as far as I can tell, as the difficulty level goes up, but they do make the combat sections more difficult.
Right.
It's a bit of a shame, because I think I kind of wanted more ribbon variety on some tracks. It's like, I know it's a bit difficult in bass music, because you're kind of playing it's repetitive. It is what it is. The synth line is going to be the same in multiple places, but they stick to that as well. What you actually play on the ribbon, I guess, often follows that same pattern for a certain sound, and I kind of wish they mixed it up a little bit more. Not just over the course of levels, but over the course of the difficulties. It would have been nice to have a slightly different pattern to follow, as maybe you're following more of the wubs. But that's Aaero. I really like it.
Yeah.
It was like 25% off if you got it on launch, so I did that. And
it's
not anymore.
Sales too.
Yeah, it's like £12. So if you
seems
less than the pound per track.
Yeah, check it out if you're a fan of Res or Panzer Dragoon, or even like
general rhythm games.
Yeah, rhythm games. Yeah,
it's worth a look. It's worth a look. It's also worth noting that these 2 guys, Mad Fellows as they call themselves, purveyors of the finest video games, as it says on the intro, they have previously worked on both the Guitar Hero and DJ Hero series.
Right.
So there's a clear heritage here.
Yeah, that makes sense. Coolio.
Yeah. Cool game. And that's me out, really.
Cool. Okay. I've just been playing Zelda. That's basically it, I guess. But I haven't got nearly as far as Zach, so there's no real big revelations there. It's been carrying on, trying to avoid doing another Divine Beast and just checking out and trying to find more shrines and stuff. I think I've got more than half of them now, 64 or something of them, which is, considering I've had like 3 whole areas of the map, or maybe 4 that I haven't revealed or gone to. I think I'm not doing too bad on the coverage. I don't know.
Yeah, some of the areas do seem denser than others, though.
Yeah, that's for sure. I've been doing a bunch of side quests down by the kind of weird tropical fishing village place.
Yeah.
Where there isn't a divine beast or anything, but there is quite a nice area down there. Although I haven't really explored the whole jungle. Is it a jungle, would you say? Sort of tropical forest a bit. So. I'm guessing there's a bunch of shrines in there somewhere. I was surprised to turn around and see one of those giant dragons right there in the middle of that jungle.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, because that one specific dragon, it's like the other 2 dragons have very specific places where they spawn and they follow a route, whereas that one other type of dragon seems to spawn all over the place for no apparent reason.
And I still don't understand what to do with them, because I try and I get that they're supposed to be like updrafts that you can fly, but I always just fall down and I can't get up close to them because it doesn't seem to. I can get up there with the glider, but I can't stay up for some reason. I must be doing it wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't usually have to stay up for too long, though.
Right. What do you have to do? Just shoot them in the horn, I guess.
Well, depends what mission you're doing with them, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know. I haven't got any quests to do with them yet. I just found them. So I don't really know what's involved with those things. Other than the fact that I was like, wow, there's a dragon up in the sky miles away and it's tiny. And then later on I was like, there's a fucking massive dragon right here. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's it?
There, pretty much, yeah. I don't know what more to say about saving up for. I still don't know what to spend my money on, whether to buy the house or whether to buy armor or whatever. I kind of want to get some of the base level of ancient armor or whatever. I have found that the tracker thing is good for finding the materials you need. Yeah. Thanks for that tip for the materials, because it does track things from bloody miles away, which is really
compared
good.
To the shrines. Yeah,
yeah,
way more useful.
Yeah, so you can actually find shit. So that's pretty good. Although I think I saw a star fragment pillar and I ran towards it, but it disappeared.
Yeah, there's the problem with the star fragment pillars is like when the shooting star comes down and it creates the pillar to give you a clue where the hell to go.
Yeah.
Even though if you're looking at it, you just like scope and then mark it on your map, and that helps. Obviously.
Yeah, I tried that. Yeah.
But the trouble is that like when you actually get close to the pillar and it basically gets within the spawning distance of the world and becomes an item.
Yeah.
Like the item can immediately get into a place where you can't get it, and then it will disappear.
Yeah.
Like I've had shooting stars fall directly into sinking bogs.
Right.
Where it's like you run all the way to the pillar and it's like, oh, it's just a swamp. It's already gone.
Yeah.
And I had another time where it spawned like on a very steep incline that immediately led directly into a canyon. So it was just like I ran up and then it was just like, oh look, there it goes. Bye.
What, you saw it spawn and fall down the canyon?
Just fall straight in there.
No way to catch it up.
No.
Before it like fell.
I think
out.
It went into a river, so it's like
right.
You can't get them when they're underwater either.
No.
It'd be nice if they were just like magnetic or something, because then you could at least fish them out of the various places that they can fall into water and swamps.
Yeah, I don't know how many you need by the end of the game.
Quite a lot if you want to do all of the other upgrades.
Really? Yeah.
Well, there is like a semi glitch way of getting more of them quickly.
Right.
where it's just like if you fully quit and restart the game, it like resets whatever hidden counter it is that causes them to spawn.
Right.
So you can force them to spawn slightly quicker rather than just waiting for it to naturally happen.
Right. Yeah. I'm not very good at spotting them anyway, so.
No, it's one of those things where if you're not going to do it that way and like specifically grind for them, you basically you have to. If you see one go down, you just have to abandon whatever the fuck you're doing and go get it, because exactly. there's no way you're going to have enough of them if you don't do that.
Right. Yeah.
Which is kind of annoying.
Yeah. Does that often get in the way of what you're trying to do, like in a bad way?
It doesn't happen very often, but when you see one, it's like, yeah, give up what you're doing and run over there. I've only got like 3 of them, so
I can't remember what. I guess theoretically you don't actually need that many if you're not going to do if you're not planning on going for like maximum completion or anything. You might not need that many because you. I think the main thing that I did that used more of them was I upgraded all of the different jewelry that you get from the Gerudo place.
Oh, I haven't.
Which is totally unnecessary because those aren't actually. Those are, well, for a start, those aren't even part of an armor set. They're like a bonus piece that you can add. You can't even wear them at the same time, which is kind of disappointing because it's like earrings or whatever. It's like, why can't I wear this at the same time as a head armor piece? That would make more sense. But it don't. It's just counts as head armor.
It covers the earrings up, and then they're not effective.
But yeah, I upgraded all of those, and maybe that was kind of unnecessary.
What bonuses do they give you, though?
They just give you resistance, resistance and like a couple of other things. Like the opal earrings give you swim speed, like the Zora equipment does.
Right. That's quite good. Yeah. Yeah, I got the climbing gear set now, upgraded so that.
So this actually works as armor as well as a climbing bonus.
Yeah. Although mainly use it for the climbing bonus. Yeah, I think it would have been. Yeah, you were telling me I'll find out. I suppose about a power that would help with the bloody rain, but I think it would have been a better bonus for the climbing if you could climb in the rain instead of the reduced stamina jumping thing.
Oh, yeah, I guess that would have made sense. Yeah. Or it could have been like an armor that's like, I guess if they'd made the cold resistant armor not just warm clothes but actually hot, then you could have had it so that they gave you a clothes bonus by evaporating the water around you.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And it would also mean you could melt those goddamn chunks of ice much easier instead of having to wave a fire sword around in its vicinity like I usually did.
What you need is the salt armor.
Yeah, all that.
And sort that right out.
That would make sense. I don't know where to get the cold resistant armor. I guess that's in one of the places I've yet to visit.
Yeah, it's in the Rito place as well.
Right, okay. I'll find that later.
Cool. Melting those chunks of ice was so annoying.
I don't think I've done that yet.
Well, they're all over the place. Just anywhere where it's cold, you get those big lumps of ice. There's one on the plateau as well that has a Korok in it.
I just never go into the icy bits now because I don't have the resistance really. I've got the warm doublet, but that's it. No, I can't be bothered to be eating lots of spicy food all the time. So I did use it to find. I managed to find the shrine for the last bit of climbing gear. That was in a cold place.
Right.
That was kind of annoying because it's around the back of Mount Laranyu or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
That whole area I haven't explored because it's too cold.
Yeah. And it was just you have to melt those chunks of ice, and you can do it a more obvious way where you just make a campfire, because obviously you can just do that. Just throw a chunk of wood on the ground with a bit of flint and then just hit it and it makes a fire and then you're good. Yeah. And that melts the ice relatively quickly. But it's just you have the classic same problem as with the food that I had, where it's just you want to conserve resources, so what do you do instead? You just get a fire sword and just hold it, and it melts the ice really slowly, but it works. Oh. You just have to stand there next to the ice holding your fire sword and be like, yeah, this is going to melt eventually.
Huh.
And technically, wielding a fire sword also, actually increases your temperature. It actually counts as cold resistance if you're wielding a fire sword. So technically, if you were holding a fire sword, you could run through cold areas without having proper cold-resistant gear. Except you couldn't really, because as soon as you wanted to fight anything, you'd either use your fire sword and then have it break and then you'd be fucked, or you'd have to put it away and then you get cold. Doesn't quite work.
They're pretty interesting that interplay even exists, though.
I know, it's cool. Most things sort of work, don't they?
Yeah.
I don't come across many things where I'm like, that should work, and it doesn't.
I wouldn't even have expected that one. I mean, I know it sounds dumb, but it's like, you pick up a fire sword in a game, and it's just like, well, it will set other things on fire, but it won't affect me.
Even the torches keep you warm, don't they, to some extent?
Yeah, torches are the easiest way to stay warm on the move. But again, put it away, and then that's even worse with the torch, because when you put it away, the torch goes out.
Yeah, and then you're in trouble. Torches never burn down, though, do they?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Because I just think of Deku sticks in Ocarina of Time, where they would burn out. Yeah, Zelda. It's a pretty good game. Like I was saying to you, Rob, I was thinking, it was making me think, well, perhaps we should do a kind of PC Gamer Top 100 style top of the best games ever, like semi-annually, like during
semi-annually might be quite severe.
Or, yeah, maybe less often than that.
Well, annually, but in summer.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
But then the conversation each time would be like, it would get shorter the second year, right?
Yeah, it would get shorter.
Have to define what they thought that game list was, because it would be like, well, what has changed in the last year? Does it put off any of these?
It's funny how the PC Gamer one changes, or used to. Like, some games would go up and down in a weird way.
Well, some of that, I guess, is
different staff. Yeah. And stuff.
Yeah, staff opinions versus, like, do they actually hold up as well?
Yeah, that's the question.
Like, has something changed over the last year that means that those games aren't actually as good because you've played something better in the genre? There's all kinds of oddities in a way. Like, what if you played like a platformer?
Yeah.
Like, does Ukulele's presence make games like Banjo better because Ukulele doesn't quite stick the landing, things like that. It's a weird way to think, but I can sort of see how that may impact thought processes like that.
I was thinking of doing of splitting it single player versus multiplayer for some reason. I think it's quite hard to compare like TF2 to Zelda.
I think it's kind of hard to compare anything to anything in that case, really, where you're not limited by any options. That's why Game of the Year has categories.
Yeah, Game of the Year has categories, but yeah. Well, maybe we could have categories for this then. It's just how many would you want? They were the only two I thought of.
Yeah, in a landscape of genre fluid games, that becomes increasingly difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to do the Happy Salad top 10 RPGs of all time. Although we could. I don't know.
I mean, we could. Yeah.
Anyway, just a thought. I reckon Zelda would be up there somewhere, though. This particular one, it's pretty good.
You'd have to fight it. We'd have to come up with some rules. Like, would we only allow, if we were doing like a top 10 as opposed to like a bigger list?
Yeah.
Would it be like, you're only allowed one game from each franchise, or is there actually a franchise that could fill the list just with games on its own? That kind of.
Yeah, I mean, if you started narrowing the to genres, then yeah, you'd end up with like, I don't know. If you started narrowing it down to RPGs or whatever, you might have multiple Mass Effects on that list or whatever, or multiple KOTORs or something, or it might start getting a bit silly. I don't think you're going to have that problem with a general list, are you? Of it's just write down every Zelda game and there you go, you've got the best games, because that's just not true.
Sure.
But yeah, whether Ocarina and Breath of the Wild would be in the top 10 games of all time is like, it's a bit unfair, isn't it? It's crowding out. And it's up to us to decide anyway, so.
Oh yeah, but then would you put Smash Brothers Melee and then Smash Brothers for Wii U?
Exactly.
As one and
the
two,
original Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Multiplayer needs a separate list. Anyway. Okay. Well, I think that's been it for the Saladcast this time. And catch us next time for more Enslaved stuff. Probably more Zelda from me. More, and we'll see what ancient ass games Zach decides to play before he gets anything new. And I'm sure it's E3 coming up. I don't know when that is.
A little longer until that.
Yeah, a couple of months.
We'll have news of Call of Duty World War II and what we think of that trailer and all that shit and various other stuff. And I'm sure there'll be new videos. Weren't there?
Yeah, well,
we've just put out
part 2's
software. Yeah, part 2. So if you want to check that out, go on our Happy Salad channel and check out all the other games that we made when we were like 14 or whatever, including
all
some of the
other
pack games.
The second, third.
Well, there's at least another part to the Games Factory stuff, and then at some point we'll get to the multimedia fusion phase.
So check all that out, and we'll catch you for another Saladcast in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'll hold back on my tale of train woe that was going to be in random, but we kind of just crap through it.
Yes.
It's
next
a dumb
time,
one.
Train
it's
woe.
a dumb one. No, it won't be next time. I'll have forgotten by next time.
Okay.
It's not relevant. It's not in my... It won't be like it happened in the last week. It's like just, well, all you need to know is that trains are woe.
Pretty much. I didn't even get to go on a train today because it was a fucking bus. Anyway, never mind. Right. Catch you next time, listeners.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Do you get bye from Zach?
No.